Welcome back to the Brave podcast. So today's video or episode or live stream is going to be a little bit different. Last night, Moshi and I went and actually it was yesterday afternoon, we went and watched probably one of the most influential videos of our time, and it's called Sound of Freedom. It had a very, very powerful message, kind of a profound story, to say the least. Kind of makes you emotional, makes you think a little bit, gives you a different perspective on the world, and we are going to get into it. But first, let me introduce my co-host, Moshi.
Thank you very much. Hey everyone, I'm Mohammed. I'm Mo, Moshio on YouTube and Instagram. And yeah, we watched a movie yesterday. Mm-hmm. That movie was wild. Become a parent, then watch that movie and tell me that you're not, like, your heart wasn't into the entire time. We were watching it with my wife, and it was just crazy. So we'll get into that very soon. But first, I'd like to introduce our guest, who has not been here. Sorry, who's not here for the first time, but has been here before. He was actually our very first guest on the podcast. Tonight, I welcome Ethan Minnie, like the mouse. Hey, welcome back.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome. So Mo and I went to go see it yesterday. You haven't seen this movie yet, have you, Ethan?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay. So this movie, like, how do I describe it without getting banned on YouTube? So basically, this movie tells a story of a former CIA agent. His name was Tim Ballard. He is currently all over YouTube. He's being talked about all over Twitter, all over social media. It's just like, this story is blowing up. Basically, Tim Ballard used to work for the CIA, ended up going and creating a mission to bust pedophiles and essentially save children out of the traffic trade, the sex traffic trade. Now, we're not talking about, like, older kids. We're also talking not just older kids, but also very, very young kids. And that's kind of why the movie was so profound and kind of makes you sit there and, like, wonder how there could be such evil people in the world. And it was just such an incredible story. Like, the way it was put together, like, from beginning to end, the scenes, all based on true stories. Obviously, some stuff was exaggerated a little bit just for dramatization and theatrical purposes, but majority of what happens in this movie was true. Tells the story from, as much as they could obviously pack into 2 hours. And if you listen to recent interviews from this guy, Tim Ballard, which, like I said, you can find all over the place. I heard him in several different spots so far. One was on the Jordan B. Peterson podcast, and then also on Timcast IRL. And listening to him and the lead actor who actually played him, who was also Jesus from Passion of the Christ, and he also did an amazing job portraying Tim Ballard.
Yeah, Jim Caviezel.
Yes, and he, oh my God, I don't know. So what did you think, Mo? I mean, apart from wanting to rip your heart into 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, man, I was heartbroken the entire time. It starts right away, and it hits you right away. I don't know if a lot of it was necessarily new information to anyone who, like, has their eyes open a little bit. However, seeing it the way that they portrayed it and how real and how fast these things happen was certainly scary. And to think it's not like it happens only far away, only overseas. No, they were saying, like, the USA is the highest contributor to this and user of the information. Anyway, we'll get into it more, but it's not far away from you. It could be next door. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, like, the way they kind of, a lot of the stories were early stories in Tim Ballard's life, and they take place mainly in Colombia. The main storyline is about these two children. Essentially, you had Miguel and then his sister Rocio. And I think the real person, like the real child, from hearing the story, was 5 years old when he was originally, sold into the trade. And then his sister was a little bit older. Essentially, the movie plays out that the father gets tricked into taking the children into what he believes is some sort of modeling agency. There's a woman, and she comes, she's like, oh, look, who is this cutie, and whatever. And he ends up bringing the children into, like, this like weird looking office building, and then when he comes to pick them up at night, everyone's gone. And then it shows the story of what the children actually went through while they were in, that environment. Now, the thing that I appreciated was that it wasn't so graphic, the movie itself. Like, there was obviously no nudity or anything like that, which is great. You shouldn't show things like that, especially when it's children. But the way that it shows, like, the emotion of the main character trying to find the children, and he's literally like staring at the screen, and he's got like tears coming down his face because he had to watch a lot of these videos of what was happening to these children. And I can only imagine what the man would have had to go through to have to sit there and literally watch as this stuff is happening on his computer screen.
I was watching the interview with Jordan Peterson. He was talking about he watched tens of thousands of hours, tens of thousands of hours of child abuse on video.
Yeah, it's obscene, and it's just crazy how big. So they were actually explaining that it's $150 billion a year industry around the world. The biggest, like Mo had said, the biggest consumer of this is the United States of America. And yeah, so the crazy part is that the movie itself was created to obviously create awareness about what's happening in the world with all these children. And the saddest part is that when this movie came out, the media essentially decided to shit all over it. And they said some things that don't really make much sense. And this is one thing that I kind of despise, corporate media for, how they'd like to make everything political. It's like they're always trying to gain points for their side, whether you're left or right. And it's just like, dude, it's a movie that just talks about a story, like things that are actually happening to children. Like, how dare you? How dare you try and shit on these people who are trying to do good things, who are, God-loving and God-fearing people who are just literally trying to go out there and save children and get people to help them in the process, right? And it's like, who the fuck do you think you are, realistically? I know I'm swearing pretty early in the live stream, and honestly, I just really don't care. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I've been thinking about this since we watched the movie, and even like listening to because I heard a lot of the interviews before, so I kind of knew what to expect in the movie. And some spoiler alerts, I'm just going to tell you right now, if you haven't seen the movie and you plan on watching it, there's a lot of things, like if you guys are religious, like you guys watching are religious, you're going to appreciate a lot of this movie, because there's parts in the movie that seem sort of like divine intervention. Whereas the little boy Miguel, when he is finally saved by Tim Ballard, he has this necklace that his sister gave him. And on the necklace, there was an inscription. I don't remember exactly what it said. It was in Spanish. And the scripture, the end of the scripture actually says Timoteo. So Tim Ballard essentially saves this child, and the child asks him what his name is, and he goes Timoteo, and the kid looks up to him like, Timoteo? And he gives him this necklace, like actually just gives it to him after saving him. And it was just insane how the necklace itself literally said Timoteo on it. It was like, it was kind of like meant to be, like this child was meant to be saved. And then the storyline eventually transitions into him, because the sister and brother ended up getting split up, and the sister ended up going far south into Colombia, basically into like rebel territory, and Tim has to go out there with no backup whatsoever, because the government can't help him out there. There's no police intervention out there. He's literally on his own. It was him, this other guy who apparently is played by a real character. Apparently the guy who helps him is essentially a former cartel member, who explains how he inadvertently got involved with the whole trafficking situation. And by, again, divine intervention, he was essentially told by God to kind of, turn it around and eventually set his goals up and his mission to go and help save these children. So you see these two characters together, and then who was the third guy, like a police officer or something? Who was that?
He was the liaison in Colombia. He was the police liaison in Colombia to Tim Ballard,
Yeah, so, but yeah, if you listen to their interviews, they'll explain which parts are obviously, correct, the way they're displayed in the movie, how accurate they are, and then you'll obviously see parts that they maybe changed just for theatrical effect in general. And yeah, so the thing that I was going to show you guys is this. So this is what I'm talking about here. This is what they decided to say. So they called the movie, this is from Rolling Stone, who's just such a crappy news company these days. So Rolling Stone said Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dad with brainworms. The QAnon tinged thriller about child trafficking is designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer. Now, the thing to point out about this movie is this movie was actually created, it was finished 5 years ago, which is well before QAnon was ever even a thing. So the fact that they're trying to claim that this movie is somehow connected or influenced by QAnon and it's full of conspiracy theories and it just kind of, I guess what they're trying to say is that it appeals to those people, but like it doesn't, there's no comparison because the stories are true. The credentials of the people who were involved in the making of the movie and the characters that they were based off of are all real people. Yeah. Like these people, there are videos of Tim Ballard going to these places and literally saving 50 children at one given time, right? So it's like what do you mean? Like, why do you have to make shit up about stuff like this? It literally makes no sense, and it really makes me hate the media just that much more. I mean, I already can't stand the media, but in my opinion, everybody should definitely go and watch this movie because it's very important, and I think it could have a very large impact on changing the world, even if it is, a couple of children at a time. The cool thing is that you can actually donate to them. I'm not going to ask you to do that. If you want to, feel free to go on their website. Let me bring it up here for a second because I'm going to actually be doing this myself. I'm going to donate $200 to this organization. Nice. So this is actually Tim Ballard's organization. It is called ourrescue.org. I'll probably put it into the... Maybe if you can put it in there and I'll pin it or something in the live chat. But yeah, if you guys want to go there and donate, even $1, whatever it is, it's totally your call. But, like I said, even if it helps out one person out there and saves one child's life, I think it's a very important thing. But yeah, it was just, oh man, it was incredible. Like even the acting was so good. The music was done incredibly well. Like it matched, and music, I feel like when it's used properly helps invoke certain emotions, and I feel like that was done so perfectly well in the movie itself, and it was definitely something else, right? Yeah, so go and watch the movie.
Just as well, we should talk about how the is it Angel Studios?
Yes.
So Angel Studios is the company that picked up the movie after, many years of it not being put out. And they came and they said, hey, we're going to put this out. After they saw the movie, they're like, what we're going to do? We're going to start this fund, essentially, so that people who can't afford to go see the movie in theaters can get free tickets to go see the movie in theaters.
The Pay It Forward.
So look up Angel Studios Sound of Freedom Pay It Forward, and either if you're able to, you can buy tickets so that somebody else can go see it, or if you need to, you can use those tickets to go see it. So I highly suggest that you go see this movie in theaters right away.
And maybe I would also suggest maybe don't go with young children. If you have teenagers like 13, 14 years old and up, maybe bring them if you want, obviously if they're in the mindset that they can handle something like that, because it is kind of like the stories are just, it's just gruesome. Like it doesn't show anything, but just like the understanding and seeing what these children are going through is absolutely wild. And another thing to kind of point out is how this movie got picked up. So basically they started this movie, I think it was in 2015. They finished it by 2018. They had a contract with, I believe it was Fox, and then Fox was sold or pulled in under the Disney umbrella, and then Disney essentially wanted nothing to do with the movie. Go figure. I wonder why. And then from there they basically had no one who was willing to push the movie out there. They went to Netflix, Amazon, all these different companies, and no one would help them. The producer Eduardo, who I heard his side of the story on Timcast IRL, so if you want to see that, definitely go and watch that on there. His side of the story was that he was essentially trying to promote it in Mexico. So he was going from state to state in Mexico, also trying to promote it in the United States, and trying to get some, some help from, the locals in each state to kind of help him push this movie out there. When eventually he got a call from Angel Studios, they didn't know if it was going to work, but they believed in the project, and they believed that it was a fantastic movie, and that it told an amazing story that will have a large influence on people. And the crazy part is that they decided to push it out on July 4th, which is the most, important date in American history, and a very important holiday in the USA, obviously, Independence Day. So the funny thing was that they weren't sure if they should have put it out on July the 4th, which was, I believe, also the same day when Mission Impossible was coming out. Yeah.
A week later. Yep.
Well, lo and behold, the movie ended up beating out, I think, Mission Impossible initially. Now Mission Impossible has passed it because obviously people love Tom Cruise, and the franchise is just so huge. But they are still ahead of Indiana Jones, as far as I know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing or whatever. Maybe just the Indiana Jones franchise has kind of died out a little bit. But it's just incredible that this little no-name movie from this little production company that's nobody's ever heard of before, all of a sudden is gaining such notoriety for something like this. The other story that kind of touched me a little bit was when they were filming. So the whole idea of the movie was to film on location, where Tim Ballard had a lot of his missions, or completed a lot of his missions, and some of them were in Colombia. So they wanted to film them in the exact same spot where a lot of these raids, so to say, would happen, where Tim would save 50 children at a time and whatever. So one of the stories, and this is not in the movie, this was just something that I remember from the interview, essentially they were filming on location, or they were planning to go to Colombia. So before that, what's his name again? Jim
Caviezel.
Yep. I can't say his name properly. I don't know why. But yeah. Jim Caviezel, who was asked to be the lead, aka Jesus from Passion of the Christ, essentially he was being told he had to go and film in Colombia. So they asked his wife if it was cool that he would go, and she's like, no, I've seen Narcos, and I know it's bad out there, and I'm worried. I think something bad could potentially happen. Tim Ballard speaks with Jim's wife and essentially tells him that, would you feel comfortable sending him if we sent him with 30 ex-Navy SEALs for the whole crew to protect everybody? She said, okay, no problem. So they're filming on location. One day they're filming and 15 of the ex-Navy SEALs disappeared. Like, they were just not there that one specific day. As it turns out, they ended up busting an entire pedophile ring, and I think they saved upwards of almost 200 children
while filming a movie about pedophilia. How
exactly.
Crazy.
Amazing, right? And the crazy part is that both the producer and Tim said that, again, it was another divine intervention, that the way it had occurred and the way everything kind of fell into place, the fact that the wife of Jim ended up saying no at first, and then they sent all these ex-Navy SEALs, and those were the dudes that ended up catching these guys, right? It was just like it was meant to be. Like, in that exact order is how it had to play out, right? Which is just incredible. But yeah, again, go and watch the movie, because it was definitely 100% worth it. And like I said, if you want to go and donate, feel free. I'm going to do my own donation, and then that's pretty much it on that topic. So, apart from that, Ethan, how are you? How's things?
Pretty good, man. How about you?
Good. Just been busy.
Good.
Went on my little trip a little while ago. So you were mentioning, so there's these three houses that you guys have seen us do vlogs on several times, and there were these three mansions on a court. And what is the situation with those houses, Ethan?
Well, they're no longer with us.
No,
they are all, well, as of yesterday, there was half of one left.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Half of one. So they're just like, they've been completely leveled.
Yeah, just the basements are left, the foundations, and then half of one, which I assume is gone as of today.
Wow, that's unfortunate. Those houses were really cool, and I had a lot of people commenting like, "There's no way they're abandoned," and then it's like a few months later, they've just been completely leveled to the ground. They're going to be turned into condos, I think, right? And then there's another house that I don't think either of us have posted. I know I haven't.
No, I'm holding off. And
Yeah.
I've kind of held back posting even Instagram stories because I don't want it to end up like everything else, just out there
The
with
town circus.
Yeah, I don't want to see that with this one. So, but yeah, there was a little bit of a fire the other day that left it not the best shape. But yeah, it's unfortunate to see. It was such a nice place.
Yeah, that was a nice house.
Yeah.
You guys will eventually get to see it. I'll probably come back soon and
Yeah.
go with you and film it, just like document the damage.
I've got to do that as well.
Yeah, definitely before it's completely gone. Watch it get set on fire again. Sometimes I wonder though, is this like insurance fraud?
That's what I was
like,
thinking.
is that what they're trying to do? They're trying to make a insurance claim on these old abandoned mansions or houses or whatever, and just the owners setting them on fire.
I noticed when I was in there yesterday, like you can see where someone like put gasoline, like the trail of gas.
Oh,
And you can see
wow.
it like burnt through like a line, and then the whole area is just like burnt. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So how bad is the damage? Is it like just a portion of the house, like one room?
There's it's just this one main hallway on the main floor is pretty burnt out. Just near the basement steps, and then this one hallway, and then it kind of reached a little bit upstairs, and everything pretty well it's got like the smoke damage, like all like the black all over the walls, and
Of course.
the windows are all like tinted black now. It's
It's so sad.
yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, some of these houses are just incredible. It's incredible that they're even abandoned at all.
Yeah.
But is what it is, I guess, right? People see some economic opportunity and they decide to move on.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were asking me before the show about my trip. So recently I was in Western Canada. I was in Alberta. I was in British Columbia. Main places I went to were Calgary, Banff, Lake Louise. And then we went to Vancouver after that, and kind of like a long drive in between, which was incredible. I know you had a bunch of questions about Alberta too. So Alberta's cool. It's kind of like the Texas of Canada. That's what some people call it. It's a little bit more conservative than it is here on the eastern side of the country. And it's funny too, because then as soon as you go into like BC, the major city area like Vancouver is like very, very, left wing politics type of thing. But then Alberta, which is right next to it, is like, a bunch of horseback riding cowboys, right? Like they have the famous Calgary Stampede, which I went to, which was pretty cool. I would have liked to be able to experience more of the Stampede, but we only had like a few hours. So we just kind of like, walked around. My friends went on some of the rides. There's like tons of events like rodeos, and then late at night they do fireworks and, like shows, concerts, and all sorts of really, really cool stuff. So I would like to go again and be able to experience more of all of that. I just didn't really have, we didn't have the time because we were flying out so early the next day. But I like Calgary. It's nice because it's quiet. I have a feeling it's probably going to get much busier because a lot of people are moving out that way, because Calgary and Alberta in general are definitely cheaper to live in. Gas is cheaper. Housing is literally half the cost. You can actually afford a down payment out that way. And it's just generally quality of life is higher. You make more money in general than you do here in Ontario. Things like that. So Calgary is cool because it's nice. We also almost experienced a tornado. So that was fun.
Wow.
So we were literally in the middle of the city. We had, because I went with three of my friends. So it was Mike, his wife, Kat, and then my friend Anthony. If you guys have seen the vlogs, you know who I'm talking about. So we dropped off Kat and her friend in the downtown area, so they can go and have dinner at some restaurant. So we were hanging around, we had nothing else to do, and we're like, yo, let's go to a bar or something. So we found one, started driving. As soon as we parked, it started like pouring. Like it was just madness. I don't know if you saw the Instagram stories.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it started hailing like crazy amounts. And then I think it was like hours, and it was crazy too because we're sitting in the car, it's just hailing, there's just like all this chaos happening, people are like running and stuff trying to get to cover. The streets were basically starting to flood, and we could see the lightning coming and hitting buildings, and it was just crazy. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. Like, just the sheer amount of strikes on the tops of buildings. So finally the rain started dying out. We got out of the car, ran for the entrance, chilled out, had a couple beers, had a snack, whatever. And then we ended up going to pick up Mike's wife after that. And oh, he's in here actually.
Yeah.
I just saw Mike is in here. Bird of beef. But yeah, so we ended up going to pick up Kat, and we just see the firefighters, like, they have their boom extended, and they're like scanning, I guess, the top of the building to see, because I guess a lot of the buildings got struck by lightning. I guess they wanted to make sure they weren't on fire. Then we found out about half an hour south of Calgary, there was a giant tornado which tore up like almost an entire neighborhood.
Whoa.
Yeah. Wow. And then recently there was another one. I don't know if you saw in Ottawa, in Barhaven.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was freaking, that one was crazy. Like 200 homes got destroyed. I don't know. I hope nobody died, but
yeah, I didn't see if anyone.
I don't know. I'm not
hurt.
sure if there was. I know people got hurt. I don't know if there was any actual casualties, but
Oh, it says 2 tornadoes touched down.
it was 2.
with speeds of 155 kilometers an hour.
What was it? Say like what? How bad? How was it? EF3, 4,
EF1.
Oh, okay.
2
so
EF1s.
2 EF1s at the same time. Wow.
2 different paths of damage. That's crazy.
That's nuts. Yeah, I've seen some videos and it was just wild, just absolutely wild. But yeah, the experience in Alberta, apart from almost being caught in a tornado, was fun. The food is really good out there, and just like the environment, people are really nice. They're much more pleasant and inviting. It kind of reminds me of almost like when you're in Texas, because they have that kind of concept of southern comfort, sort of like when you're in Georgia, southern part of the United States. It's just very different. Like, people are much more pleasant, more inviting, like I said. And Alberta felt like that to me as well. Then we went and hung out in Banff. We actually saw a building on fire in Banff.
Wow.
At first we thought it was another forest fire, and then we had found out later on that it was actually the housing building that houses a bunch of like the local employees who, for some odd reason, are majority Australian. I don't know why. Apparently there's just a lot of recruiting in Banff of Australians, and it's like the funniest thing ever. And but yeah, basically like 80% of the employees in Banff that you run into are all Australian, which is really, really funny.
Wow.
And
maybe they have a particular skill set.
Maybe, I don't know. I remember last time we went, because we went last September for Mike and Kat's wedding, and we ended up talking to somebody, and they had mentioned how they're like, yeah, it's the coolest job ever. I like to ski. I'm from Australia. Obviously, we don't ski in Australia normally. So I decided, I got a job offer, came out here to Banff, Alberta, and we can pretty much ski majority of the year, right? So that was fun. Then what else happened? Oh yeah, another time when we were in Lake Louise, our friend actually proposed. So there was this. You might notice some of the footage in my vlogs are a little bit awkward, and the reason why is because my friend was planning on proposing at some point, and then he finally did it. It was done in the funniest way too, because the girl, he climbed up onto these like rocks or whatever. We were like walk down the trail. He climbs up onto these rocks, and she goes, "Oh, I really want a rock from here," and he goes, "Oh, do ya?" So he like starts going and looking for a rock. He finds an actual rock, and then I kind of came back because he told me he was going to do this because he wanted me to take photos and stuff. So I switched like the lens on my camera to the zoom lens so I could take photos from far away of them. And so I come back, and he's like, I'm like, "Yeah, what's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, she wants a rock." And I'm like, "Wait, is it happening? Is it happening now?" And then all of a sudden he finally turns around, he's on his knee, and he's holding, the much more expensive rock, which was really funny. And then after that, we ended up heading out to Vancouver, which was fun. Vancouver is cool. I probably wouldn't go back because we kind of did like, most of the touristy type of things. The food is really good. The seafood is fantastic. The sushi, amazing. Almost kind of like on par with what we experienced in Japan. It's done in a different way, but it was like amazing the way it was done. The craziest part about Vancouver is there's this one area. It's called Hastings. It's like a big road, Hastings, and essentially there are 12 blocks, I would say, roughly, and it's just all homeless people, and a lot of them are like strung out, like heavily strung out, like they're literally like hunched over, just sitting there on the thing. They're just, some of them are just losing it, just doing whatever, like very weird movements, and it's insane, just like how much of it there is. And it's like, what is it's just weird to me because Vancouver is supposed to be, it's very heavy NDP, which is for those of you that don't know, one of the parties here in Canada is the New Democratic Party, and they're probably the farthest to the left, so extremely socialist. So they're always, making the same claim that, oh, we're the ones that help all the people and we do everything, we do all the best policies for people. And then you actually go there and this is what you see, right? And it's like, what's going on here? First of all, drugs are legal in Vancouver. You could literally go to a store and legally buy up to, I believe it's 2 grams of heroin. You could buy cocaine, methamphetamines, basically whatever you want. And it's all legal, right? So they legalized all these drugs, but they're not actually solving the drug problems. And then now you have 12 blocks of tent cities of people with literal needles sticking out of their arms, and they're all completely strung out, and they're just sitting there on the sidewalk. And it's like, who's fixing any of this? So in my opinion, are these politicians just typical politicians where they just lie through their teeth and they claim to have all these amazing policies that help all these people, and they typically spend the most amounts of taxpayers' money to solve these problems, but clearly you have a much larger problem than any other province in the entire country. So what the hell is going on out there? Did I send you the videos of like some of the people, like as we were driving by? I think I recorded some of them.
I think just the actual tents.
The tents? Yeah, it's crazy.
I'll check right now.
It's kind of all over the city in like little pockets, but there's one specific area that has the most, called Hastings. But have you ever seen the videos of like what it's like in Vancouver?
Not really. No, I haven't.
No, it's bad.
Is it very similar to California?
Yes. So in California, they have what's known as Skid Row. It's similar. It's not as bad, in my opinion. But there's a lot of like major cities now in the West Coast United States that have the same problem because they keep inviting people in as they consider themselves like sanctuaries or whatever. So they keep inviting all these people to come in with, homeless people, drug problems, things like that. And they just put them all in this one concentrated area, but then they don't do anything to actually solve the problem, right? Like they're not actually giving these people proper rehabilitation to actually solve the problem. So I don't know what the deal is, but it is what it is, I suppose. And that's Vancouver. But there are a lot of areas in Vancouver that are like really nice. We went up to Whistler, BC, which is like the main part where they like to ski in that area. We drove past an area called Squamish or something like that.
What's that?
It's just like this, place that looks like heaven. You're driving through what's known as the Whitecaps. So basically there are mountains covered in snow in the middle of or beginning of July, which is nuts. Never thought I'd see anything like that, but the snow I guess just doesn't melt because it's so high up and it's freezing up there. So but yeah, it's basically like just this highway road that goes through all these small little towns, and there's lots of really pretty lakes, and it's very postcard. Like you got the mountains in the background, you got the pretty lakes, and it's quite spectacular. It's like very different from the lake areas like Banff in Alberta, but still amazing. So definitely would recommend checking it out once. We also did the suspension bridge, which is scary.
Oh, what's it called again?
It's called the Capilano
Right.
suspension bridge. It's very, very famous. It was built like 100 years ago. It's not the original one that was obviously first built. They've replaced it since because it's a very big tourist attraction. And it's also very scary because as people are walking, the whole thing is just going like this. And if you're not holding on, you're basically just bouncing around all over the place. So,
Crazy.
yeah, it's if you don't like heights, you probably don't want to do it. But I don't like heights and I still managed to do it. Yeah, it was kind of annoying though because people have a habit of not moving or not letting you go through, right? So it's like if you have, you know, a fear of heights to begin with, it's a little bit traumatizing.
I suspect people are stopping in the middle of it and taking selfies. Is that what's happening?
Yes,
Right.
yes, it's a very consistent thing that's happening on the actual bridge itself, as well as the cliff walk. There's this other thing where you're basically like on this metal platform thing. It's like a single file type of thing. You go and you're just walking on the side of the canyon, which is also very scary. And there's this one part, it becomes very, very narrow and it literally goes all the way around. Like it's completely separated from the actual rock formations itself. And the same thing, you had these people who are literally just stopping and it's only single file, so you can't pass them or go around them, and they're like, wait please, and Anthony's like, no please, I'm going, let us pass. Right? Like, dude, like you're holding up like 40 people, right? And if anybody here has fear of heights, as long as you're moving, you're okay, you can deal with it. But the second you stop and you're like, oh crap, and you're being forced to essentially stand still and look around. And then there was this dog that was just traumatized. He was moving so slow and you could tell he was just like terrified of being that high up. And I'm like, dude, why would you bring your dog
Absolutely.
on that?
Terrible idea.
He doesn't understand that, but yeah, it was a good time. We went to a place called Granville Village, which is a bunch of cool little shops. And I like things like that because it's very like mom and pop shops. So you're like, you know, supporting local economies and stuff. We had like the best donuts I've ever had in my life. Because Kat, who's like the mom of the group, basically just is constantly ordering and purchasing more food for all of us, and she would constantly just order more sushi. We would literally go for lunch, eat sushi, and then we would come back to the Airbnb and she would already have ordered more sushi. So when we went to Granville, she bought like 8 donuts and we were splitting them all to try each and every single one, right? And they were all so good. It was amazing. They had those Nanaimo bars, which I had never had Nanaimo bars that good before. But yeah, it was super cool. There was a couple of shops that were a little bit weird, that just had weird things in them. That was just
like what?
The one that stuck to me was there was this candle in this store, and it was a candle that so you know when you see the Catholic candles, have you ever seen those before?
They have like a picture of like Mary or whatever.
Yeah,
on it.
exactly. So it was obviously meant to be Mary, but with do you know who AOC is?
No.
AOC is she's a politician. She's a House of Representatives in the United States. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So they had her face that was like printed on Mother Mary's body on this candle, and I'm like, dude, what is this blasphemy? Right? Like, what is this? And I'm like, dude, like, how are you comparing, you know, a politician to, you know, Mother Mary or God or anybody? Like, you shouldn't be venerating politicians like this, but whatever. I don't know. I just thought it was really, really strange, but it's kind of like the mindset out there because she's very, you know, far lefty, and in Vancouver they are too. So I guess they go hand in hand. I just thought it was really weird. But yeah, there was a bunch of other stuff that was like, who buys this stuff? Like, there was an entire like sculpture store, right? And it was just like, I guess it was like local artists, and they had like probably 100 different sculptures, and they were like $6,000, $5,000, things like that.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I don't even know who these artists are. I'm not really big on art, but I know Moshi is. Moshi loves his art, especially when we went to Chicago to see the art.
My favorite,
right?
When we went into what was it called? Anyway, whatever art gallery it is, in like the heart of Chicago. Just was not my plan to go there. That's for sure.
No, it was mine.
It was just like, art's cool. I liked seeing the thing that I knew, which was that, I forgot, we talked about it the other day,
The dude with the pitchfork?
the painting with the farmer and what we thought was his wife in front of a farm holding a pitchfork. We saw that. That was neat. That was cool. Walking around the very small, like, Egyptian area was all right. But yeah, man, art galleries for me, no, I'm super boring. I did love, I think next door was the aquarium, and that was really, really
the
super
aquarium
cool.
was cool.
Yeah,
The
anybody
aquarium-
in Chicago, let me know the name of it.
Yeah, the isn't it just the Art Gallery of Chicago?
I
think
maybe,
the AGOC, I think it's called.
yeah, maybe.
Probably. I don't really remember. You ever been to an art gallery, Ethan?
No, I have not.
No.
No.
Would you like to go? Because I know a really good one. It's about 8 hours away, but they have a pitchfork person.
Oh.
They had a lot of other cool stuff too. Like there was like very they had Rembrandt photos and a lot of Picassos, and like I've never seen a Picasso before in person.
Right.
And who knew that Picasso also created so many paintings? I didn't know that. I thought he was known for, I think he had like a few famous ones, but that's when I really learned that these famous artists in history created so many pieces over time. And I think they had like Van Goghs and all sorts of interesting things that I never really seen before.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an interesting trip to Alberta and BC. Would do again. I'll probably go back to Alberta maybe next year so I can go back to the Stampede possibly.
Nice.
But if I go back to BC, it has to be like Victoria, like different areas. I don't want to go back to Vancouver because I just like experiencing different areas. I wouldn't say I fell in love with that city. It's too big for me, too busy. It just kind of feels like Toronto kind of thing. A little bit cleaner, but kind of felt like Toronto, basically. Just another version of it.
Ethan, do you have any plans to go out? Do you ever plan to go out to Vancouver or Alberta or any of that?
Or I'd like to at some point.
Yeah. Is there any?
Really
Do you have any
nice.
on the list? Any maybe mansions or anything on the list out there?
There's a couple out in there's one in Alberta that I've had saved for a bit, and then there's a couple out in BC. Yeah.
Do you ever have the fear that these are gonna go like or get taken down, get demolished or anything before you get the chance to get out
All
there?
the time. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It literally
Yeah.
happens all the time.
Right,
Yeah.
because like, who's to say when this is scheduled, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the hardest part about trying to figure everything out, like trying to get in there before it disappears, right? So, and it's happened so many times, like me, like Ethan and I ourselves, I remember there was one particular house, and Ethan had been inside of it at one point. You went in at night, I think,
Yeah.
and it was full of furniture. It was in Toronto,
Yeah.
and so he wanted to show it to me, and then we went, but it was really late at night, so we were kind of nervous about because it's like right in the suburbs, right? So we're kind of nervous about like filming at night, and then obviously we don't want people to see like a bunch of flashlights going around, because then they're gonna call the cops, and then it's just a whole other mess in and of itself. So we're like, okay, let's come back tomorrow and do it. And he's like, yeah, we have to do it. It's super cool. And I think we showed up, and they were literally in the midst, like there was people actually actively working, breaking the house apart into pieces, and we're
So
like, dude,
painful.
right?
Yeah.
We're like, we missed it by like what, 12 hours or
Yeah,
something
literally.
like that. It was so annoying.
Yeah.
But in other news, this is kind of a random segue here, but this is a story that I wanted to talk about just because it's super weird. So there's been this story going around of this woman who was freaking out on a plane and claims to have seen some sort of reptilian person. This is a big like conspiracy theory type of thing. But essentially,
Was her name Samuel L. Jackson?
what do you mean?
These mother effing snakes on this mother effing plane.
No. So she was literally like in tears. There's a video of her like in the aftermath. And essentially she's claiming that this person didn't blink in a normal way. Like, how we blink up and down. This person apparently blinked sideways.
Oh.
So a lot of people right away were kind of like, yo, this girl's crazy, right? There's an entire video of her just flipping it, right? Just losing it. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. Like, I know I've heard of a lot of people who claim to believe in, reptilian type of people, whether they're real or not, I don't know. But yeah, oh, you found it? Yeah, it's, and she's just screaming at the top of her lungs. Then yesterday there was a video that showed up on TikTok, and I think it's gotten 24 million views since last night.
Wow.
Like, it's got a lot of views.
Holy.
Apparently, I don't know if this is true or not. This is just, take this with a grain of salt. But this guy is claiming to have been on the plane with her, and he saw it from a different angle. Let me see if I can, where did I put this video here? I think it's here. Hang on. There we go. So I think this was this his video, or I don't know. It's here somewhere. Hang on. We got like 10 billion things open here. Yeah, it's got to be this one. So she's like literally like losing it. And there was another guy who's, yeah, this is the wrong video. I thought I had that one. But yeah, this is what she says she saw. Like, she saw the way it blinks like that. Like, that's creepy. So, but yeah, so this guy in his own TikTok is basically claiming to have seen her talking to a guy who was fully in a hood, and she was apparently speaking to him and slowly getting like more and more disturbed by talking to this guy. And what he witnessed was that this guy wasn't talking back, but she was kind of responding in a way as if he was talking directly to her and like actually saying things. And then he claims that he kind of saw him at some point get up as this girl was freaking out. He got up, the guy in the hood, looked at the guy in the TikTok and winked at him in the same way. So he's corroborating the story. And there's a bunch of other people on the plane who are all claiming to have seen the exact same thing. Like I said, I don't know if any of this is true, but have you guys ever looked into like any of this reptilian stuff? I know you could probably fall pretty deep into the rabbit hole on it.
Wasn't I don't know if I want to say it. Wasn't the Queen one of those?
I don't know. There's a lot of conspiracies surrounding the royal family and them being reptilian people. I think even they had one that saying that Hillary Clinton was. Again, these are just theories. YouTube, just theories. There was one claim saying that Hillary Clinton was a reptile person, or that she was like some sort of, you know, she was created by man. Because I remember there was this one video of her, and I don't know why she was doing this. Maybe she was just overwhelmed by all of the people surrounding her and asking her random questions. And it seemed like she broke, like the Matrix just had a meltdown, and she's like and she used to do like weird stuff like that all the time. Like, this was back when she was actually running for president, and she used to do weird things all the time, and people would just, you know, have a field day on the internet about it, of course. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I believe in this reptilian people thing. People claim to see a lot of things, and then you do a little bit of research and it turns out to be very easily debunkable. But who knows? Maybe they're aliens. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe there are aliens among us, and they're pretending to look like regular old people, and you know, they're invading airplanes, and maybe they're going to put snakes on a plane next. I don't know. But what's your opinion, Ethan? You think this? What do you think of these shape-shifting reptilians?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, until proven otherwise, I think there's always a chance that, you know, that stuff can exist. And I mean, throughout the years, I've seen, you know, videos and certain things about it that, you know, I mean, it's not, I guess, hard to, you know, fake a video or whatever, but I've definitely seen some things that have made me, you know, wonder for sure. Like, you know, it seems pretty legit to me, you know?
Yeah, it's, I mean, sometimes you just got to keep an open mind about stuff.
Absolutely.
Until proven otherwise. I mean, for me, it's kind of like, I don't really believe it, but show me some real proof and I might actually believe it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that just the whole story is kind of weird that this woman is like, she obviously saw something to have like a meltdown like that. Like, she must have seen something.
Yeah, the reaction was way too real. Like,
Yeah.
it was, you know, there was genuine fear in that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was genuinely like scared of something. Maybe,
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible maybe she had a mental illness or something and she just thought she saw something. Maybe she is schizophrenic. Maybe she heard random voices in her head, as, you know, schizophrenic people do. So I don't know. What do you think? You're watching the video right now. Does it look genuine to you? Like she's actually legitimately?
She looks like she's freaking out. I can't hear it right now, but I don't know. Then I'm seeing the guy sitting, the subject man who's sitting in a hoodie.
You can actually see him?
Yeah, he's just sitting there. No, but this video is taken after she's already left the plane. So the flight attendants right here taking off some suitcases or something, and there's video of the guy, but like not. He just
that guy?
looks like, that's the one.
Okay.
Green hoodie.
Yeah.
Looks like he's just.
I don't know if I can show. That's why I'm not showing too much of it. But I don't know if I can show too much on YouTube of it. But if you want to go, it's all over TikTok. Just look for the freak out plane lady, and it'll probably show up. I don't know, man. That was a crazy friggin'
one of the comments is, I find it hard to believe a reptilian was flying coach.
A reptilian. Oh my god, you gotta put him in the stewage. Put him down. Oh my god. But apart from other crazy stories, I heard another insane one today. This one is about a girl who is known as the missing Vatican girl. Apparently there's a Netflix show about this. And then I kind of thought about it because I was talking about, the other movie, The Sound of Freedom, today with somebody else, and they started bringing up this movie, and I'm like, holy crap, like that actually lines up. Right? Like, what if she was essentially kidnapped and put into trafficking? But essentially, the story is, let me just pull it up here. I got it on Wikipedia.
Emanuela Orlandi.
Yeah. So Manuela Orlandi, I believe she was 15, was a Vatican teenager who mysteriously disappeared while returning home from a flute lesson in Rome on the 22nd of June in 1983. Sightings of Orlandi in various places have been reported over the years, including inside Vatican City, but all have been unreliable. Her disappearance and the events that followed led to much speculation and involvement of international terrorism, Italian organized crime, and a plot inside the Holy See to cover up a sex scandal. Now, I don't know. They've never been able to really figure out what happened to this girl, but there's like a whole story about this girl missing. Orlandi usually traveled by bus to the music school located in Piazza di Sant'Apollinare. She would get off after a few stops and walk the last few hundred meters. Upon leaving around 4 p.m. on June 22nd, 1983, Orlandi was late to a class and the weather was extremely hot. She asked Pietro to drive her, but he had other commitments. I've gone over it so many times, telling myself if only I had accompanied her, maybe it wouldn't have happened. But yeah, I guess this girl just literally disappeared into thin air. Apparently, people are claiming that they seem to think that there's some kind of involvement from the church, obviously it being in the Vatican. The case has been recently reopened, I think as of last year, by the Pope. So they want to find out what the heck happened to this girl. And it's crazy how there's been no trace of her in almost 40 years, right? And now there's this whole Netflix series. And I feel like it's just like perfect timing with The Sound of Freedom coming out, her being a teenager. Is there a possibility that maybe she was kidnapped and put in trafficked? Essentially, we don't really know, but yeah.
Is that what it's called? Vatican Girl? Is that the one?
Yes. Yeah. So that's what that's the Netflix series that you're looking at, right? Yeah. So I don't know. Back to local news. This one's crazy, and apparently Ethan knew exactly what this was before the show. Where is it? Here we are. So apparently there is this weird fish in Lake Ontario. The government warns of rise of parasitic vampire fish that are entering Lake Ontario on a killing spree. We got hey, get out of here. Get out of my way. But look at this thing. Look at that. Dude, that is terrifying.
I would absolutely expect to see that in a video game.
Right?
Yeah.
So Ethan, you said you caught one of these before. You've seen one?
Yeah, I've caught one.
Like you were fishing and it
just fishing and it was just, yeah.
Decided it
Well,
were.
I caught a fish and it was attached to the side of the fish.
Where was this?
It was Lake Ontario. That would have been in, I guess, Mississauga-ish, I guess it would have been.
Dang.
Yeah.
This was recent?
This would have been 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I would have lost my
It was.
shit.
I didn't know what it was at first. I just thought it was like a freshwater eel or something.
Mhm.
But then its teeth. Like I've never seen anything like it. It looked like an alien species.
Right?
Like it was.
Like, dude, if I saw that, I'd be literally thinking like the movie Aliens.
Yeah,
like,
it was weird.
like this weird thing, like trying to eat you and just waiting for the predator to show up at that point, right? But apparently they are called, what are they called again?
Sea lamprey.
Sea lamprey. So is this thing like dangerous?
It's an invasive species.
Will unlock a new. So looking at them will unlock a new level of fear, even in the bravest of people. These jawless fish closely resemble eels and are known for their nightmarish rings of teeth that they use as suction cups to latch onto their aquatic prey and drain their blood. So are they not dangerous to humans, or
They've attacked people before.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine they would like. Oh yeah, look, it's like attaching themselves to the.
Okay, so I'm reading a description. The question is, does a sea lamprey bite hurt? A bite won't be fatal, but it can be painful, and untreated wounds could lead to infection. Sea lampreys don't pose a threat to people, though. They aren't interested in us, and human bites appear to be rare. In their native environment, the Atlantic Ocean, sea lampreys don't often kill their host. And you said you saw it attached to the side of a fish.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Huh?
Yeah.
I think that's the most common thing that they'll probably prey on, right? Yeah, I don't know, man. I'd be like absolutely terrified. I've gone swimming a couple times in Lake Ontario, like different places. It's not the nicest place to swim, I'd say. Just because the water consistently feels cold and dirty.
Yeah.
It just does not, it's not a nice feeling. It's not like being in the ocean.
No.
Right? So, and I mean, I've gone in May and Lake Ontario is just freezing at that time of year. Here's another one. This is wild, but do you guys remember the black and blue dress? Okay. So what do you? Everybody comment in the chat.
Can we start a new poll?
Yes. Yeah.
How do I do this?
It's a good idea. So we're gonna start a poll here.
Maybe only you can do it.
Yeah, I can do it because I'm logged in here. Just give us a second, guys. I'm gonna end that poll and then start a new one. So.
Wow, 89% of people have not yet seen The Sound of Freedom.
No,
I hope
a
you
couple
guys,
people probably will. So, what color?
Hope you guys get to watch that movie.
Is the dress? So, if you guys have seen this before, I don't know how do I change this?
Type.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, nice. So, is it blue and black, or is it, what was the other one? White and gold.
Yeah.
White and gold. So
yeah, because immediately, what did I say immediately when I saw that note?
So you said white and gold.
Immediately, I'm like, there's no way. I'm looking at the picture. I'm like, there's no way people see blue and black.
I think you guys were probably looking at the.
I clicked on the wrong damn thing.
What did you click?
I voted blue and black.
Can you not rescind it?
Because I was.
Take it back.
God damn
Take it back. So tell us what you see, because there's been like the longest argument. This argument I think has gone on for like what, 10 years, 15 years.
I can't believe I just clicked on the wrong damn thing.
So you see white and gold.
100% white and gold. Yeah.
I see so we have a big TV there. I see blue and black on the screen on my computer. I see blue and black. What do you see, Ethan?
Well, it's white and gold.
Yeah,
you see white and gold too?
100%. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll give you is that the white is pretty blue.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that just looks to me like a shadow or like it could be anything. But
yeah, I don't know, man.
Hey, 71% are at white and gold, and I voted wrong.
I wonder if that's the most common thing, that it's people see white.
Back in the day, I remember people saying that black and blue was more common.
Yeah, I remember that too. And there was another one too. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like a phrase that people, I don't even remember anymore. I'd have to find it and show you guys. But it was like, do you remember what I'm talking about?
I kind of.
Yeah, it was like some people would hear one word. It was like an audio.
Yeah.
And some people would hear one word, and then other people would hear a completely different word, and it was kind of like that.
One of these articles is saying, I just clicked.
80% of people are saying white and gold.
Yeah, seeing white and gold is associated with higher brain activity based on a 2015 study.
Yeah, that's what you think.
I may have chosen the exact article I wanted to see.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. But yeah, apparently apparently, and the reason why I pulled this up is because this article randomly showed up. I'm like, I remember this dress because there was an argument for the longest time. And I think the random words that I'm talking about will probably come to me at some point. But the man behind the hotly debated white and gold, blue and black dress has been charged with attempted murder of his wife, apparently. 38-year-old Keir Johnston allegedly committed an 11-year campaign of domestic violence actions and control against his wife, all leading up to a moment last March in which he allegedly attempted to kill her by pinning her to the ground and compressing her neck. Keary has denied all allegations against him at this time. The attempted murder case will have its preliminary hearing before a trial in 2024. So my question: did he do this because they were having an argument about what the color of the dress
you were going to say that.
I'm sorry, I had to. I couldn't hold that.
I knew you were going to say something like that.
Oh my god. It's blue and black though. It's
not to make little of the situation, and she didn't die, right? She's good?
I have no idea. I think it was attempted murder, so I don't think she died.
Do not fight with your husband or wife over colors ever.
No. I don't know, man. I'm trying to remember. Okay, that is gonna really bother me, but let me Google search.
I was hoping that it would show up when I was searching for the dress.
Oh, I'm trying to remember, man. So
80% white and gold, FYI. Got 20 votes.
Okay, so hang on. Let me see what search here. See, maybe you guys probably remember. If you guys remember what the heck I'm talking about, there was this so there was basically. There was this word that you would hear, and some people would hear. People would.
Yanni and Laurel?
That's it. Yeah. Yanni.
Yeah.
Yanni and Laurel or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And it was like this argument that went on forever about. Some people would hear Yanni, some people would hear Laurel, and I'm just like, I don't even remember what the hell I heard.
This. Okay,
let me see
play
if I can.
Play it.
Yeah, let me pull it up here. 1 second, guys.
I just want to read some of the chats just quickly about the dress. So one person's like, "Yes, on your TV it's blue." I'm tripping. I can't believe people are saying blue and black.
That's crazy.
Yeah, 20 votes, 80% white and gold.
Yanni or Laurel? Which name do you hear?
Play it.
Oh, there's ads, of course. Oh, it's because I'm logged into. Oh, here we go. Wait. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
You hear it?
Yeah.
I hear Yanni.
Laurel.
I hear Laurel.
Really? I heard Yanni.
Yeah,
Say it
I'm
again.
hearing
Play it
Laurel.
again. Oh, I hear both. I hear Yanni and the end of the Yanni. I hear like roll.
Really?
Roll.
I wonder if it's like some sort of.
Turn the volume up though. No?
Yeah, 1 sec. I'm gonna do this. Things might get a little loud now.
Laurel. Now I hear your Laurel clear.
Yeah.
Laurel clearly.
Yeah.
But when it's lower, you're hearing Yanni.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Like, I wonder if it's just like one of those weird. I don't even know, but I don't know if you guys at home can hear that. That's so strange that people hear two different things, and then with a dress they see two different colors. Like, how does that happen? And was that by accident? That's my other question. Like, how does that just randomly happen? There's another story that kind of popped up. So this one is interesting. Basically, a surgeon performed a miracle surgery in retracting a boy's head after being hit by a car while riding his bike. The 12-year-old Palestinian boy suffered what is known as internal decapitation. So his head didn't like completely come off.
Lord.
It was like internally, I think his spine separated from his neck, or his head separated from his spine, essentially. And apparently, for the first time ever, they've actually managed to repair the damage.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. And he's just standing there? No way.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess so.
What the hell?
Israeli doctors have reattached 12-year-old boy head to his neck after he suffered an extremely rare internal decapitation injury in a car accident. Palestinian Suleiman Hassan was airlifted to Israeli hospital from the West Bank after being hit by a car on his bicycle. Poor kid. Internal decapitation, which is usually fatal, occurs when the ligaments connecting to the patient's spine and skull are severed and the skin remains intact. That's crazy.
Jeez.
That's crazy. The fact that they actually managed to save this kid is unbelievable. We fought for the boy's life. The procedure itself is very complicated and took several hours. I can only imagine. While in the operating room, we used new plates and fixations in the damaged area. He added, our ability to save the child was thanks to our knowledge and the most innovative technology in the operating room. That's wild, man. Absolutely wild.
Oh my God.
Yeah, technology and things like that have come a long way. I mean, I love watching shows about that stuff, like those crazy doctor shows. I used to watch ER back in the day. I've been currently rewatching it because it's like one of the best shows that has ever been on TV. What was that other one? The one in Seattle. What's that one called? I don't remember.
I don't know.
The Grey's Anatomy. That one was really good up until there was a certain story where a certain main character was killed off of the show, and then it kind of went to shit from there, in my opinion. But that was a pretty good one too. What else we got here? What else is there? Then we got this one's funny. I'm probably gonna get in shit from YouTube just for saying the word.
Let me just go back really quick over the chats. They're just talking about one, two. Okay, so one says the same thing I said. Low sounds, you hear Yanny, and the high sound, Laurel.
I wonder if it's created like
that's
that on
Marta.
Purpose. And
then Catherine says Yanny, Pam says Laurel, Charlie says Laurel, and then Forgotten Production says fuck off.
That's funny. So here's the next thing.
I can't believe this one.
This is so stupid. So apparently Kim Jong-un, who is the supreme leader in North Korea, has banned suicide and considers making it a death penalty. How is that not literally the stupidest thing that anyone has ever heard in their life? Like that doesn't make any sense. How do you, so you're going to kill somebody for trying to commit suicide? Like, I don't understand. I mean, I guess it would be worse if they they did it in a form of punishment, but it's still like ridiculous though. Like,
I don't know. Reuters says North Korea will punish suicide attempts by death, but there's no evidence towards that. That was, you know what? That was July 6th. So maybe, let's see.
North Korea is just a disaster.
Yeah.
That country. Would you ever go, Ethan?
I would not.
No?
No.
Not even just to document it?
I wouldn't go over there, no.
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 I would. I'd probably end up getting imprisoned, and then, I'd have to have the government try and save me, and have to be like a military operation and evacuate me out of North Korea for like taking a picture incorrectly of a statue or something, because that's how it is over there. Like I don't know if you guys are aware, but they have like statues of their leaders, like former leaders and whatever, and like Kim Jong-un's grandfather. And apparently when you take the picture of the statues, you have to take the picture of the entire statue. You can't just take a picture of like the bust or like just the head or like a small piece of it. That's actually illegal.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and not to mention that there's all sorts of other things that you cannot do in North Korea. So I would go just for, just to document what it's actually like, just obviously so the rest of the world can see what the hell's going on over there. But I think we have generally a pretty good idea as to what's happening over there.
Right.
The next one we have here is pretty interesting. We have the world's largest ship, called the Icon of the Seas, is 5 times bigger and heavier than the Titanic. It will carry 5,610 passengers and 2,350 crew members and will launch in January. Now that sounds like fun. Like, look at that thing. That thing looks intense. Like, I need to know what is on this ship.
Yeah, I'm looking that up.
Looking it up. It's from Royal Caribbean, it looks like.
Exactly.
I wonder how much it is.
For a cruise?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant to buy the thing.
No. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, me and Ethan and you will just put our like
Yeah, that's all.
few dollars. I got like
Bit,
probably a few US dollars. in my
business
wallet.
credit
Yeah.
card.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
American Express Platinum card. Just go there and.
So
But-
7,600 guests.
It's more now. 7,600 guests because originally it was saying 5,600, I think.
I don't know. I'm on Business Insider. It says 76.
I wonder.
Um,
Let's see if we can find out here how much it's gonna. It shows. Is that the actual thing? 79 Western Caribbean and Perfect Day. I don't know. Top 5 adventures on Icon of the Seas. This looks like some sim video, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, look at
SimCity?
this. Not Sim City. Well, sorta, but this little thing right here. It looks like The Sims or something.
yeah.
I don't know. Here it's. I don't know if this is the actual, the same ship, but this one is showing $2,000. So it might be. I don't know how much a cruise. I've never been on a cruise before.
I went on one.
You did one?
Yeah.
I've
Do you
never
remember?
done one.
Yeah. It was for my parents. I took my parents on a cruise for their 25th
Yeah.
anniversary. It was on a ship. It was, I believe at the time, that was the largest ship. It was called the Norwegian Epic.
Oh, really?
Norwegian Epic compared to Titanic. The star says Norwegian Epic is a Titanic flop.
Have you, Ethan? You've been on a cruise before?
I have not.
No?
I don't. I have a fear of like the deep water and like
Oh,
the
really?
sea.
I don't
Yeah.
blame you.
It's like an actual thing. I can't do like the deep water thing. Yeah.
How'd you feel about what was that thing called? That what happened with the
Ocean
Titanic?
Quest
Ocean,
Titan?
the Titan.
Oh, it was
A few weeks
terrible.
ago, yeah.
That was absolutely. That would be terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, there's I think we're in the next episode we're gonna talk about that situation next. Probably not on this one, but I've just been doing a little bit more and more research. As more and more information comes out about that specific incident, more and more we realize how much of a clusterfuck that was.
Yeah.
And how much of a gigantic mistake. The fact that they literally just jeopardized everybody. It was like they knew that this thing was going to go wrong and they still did it anyways, even with all the warnings that they had. And just such a failure, an unbelievable failure. Yeah, so that is that. So another thing is, did you guys know that there was supposed to be a Blockbuster theme park?
Wow.
That would be
Right.
the absolute best thing.
Right? Like I miss Blockbuster. Like that Blockbuster.
Just the
was
times,
best.
man. Going to
Yeah.
Blockbuster Friday and at the time, we were going with our parents. Go to Blockbuster on Friday, pick out a movie, or I was lucky enough to be able to pick out games. I was able to pick out like Nintendo 64 games, that I could play for the weekend or a week or whatever it was. That was good times. Absolutely.
Yep, I remember. I spent a lot of time in Blockbuster, literally hours. Are you old enough for?
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember Blockbuster too?
Yeah.
So, because when did Blockbuster close? Well, how long ago?
Was it like what, like 15 years?
15, 20,
Something like that. Yeah. Oh yeah. So you must have been like really. You were probably like seven.
I would have been
8?
probably around 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the very last thing that they tried to do was like the unlimited passes. So they would do like you'd pay like $30 or whatever, and you could rent unlimited games for an entire month. Which that was the best because game rentals were, I think, the most expensive thing that they offered.
Probably.
And so what you would do is you would pay them the $30, and you would essentially you can come back every single day and return the game that you had just borrowed like the previous day, and then pick something else out. So
It's a great deal.
right? Like that was actually pretty cool to be able to do that. But let's see what
It says
this
2014, Blockbuster has closed all of their corporate-owned stores, just leaving 50 remaining in the world.
So it says, did you know that Blockbuster had an indoor theme park in the 90s? An article from 1994 says that Block Party had a city street theme with high-tech attractions designed for 18 to 45-year-olds, including a motion simulator ride and a high-tech maze. Ex-Disney execs Bill Burns and Fred Brooks championed the concept that opened up in Albuquerque and Indianapolis. The concept was very similar to Disney's Disney Quest, which also failed to find an audience. ITEC Entertainment brought the concept to life and still showcases the project in its portfolio. So it probably would have been pretty cool. It's unfortunate that it just never really panned out. Is that it? Is that the whole article? I thought there was going to be more there, but okay. That was, but yeah, this is what it was supposed to essentially look like.
Ooh.
Yeah. I wonder if they had a Blockbuster in the Blockbuster. In the Blockbuster theme park, I mean. Like, that would have been funny, because you had to actually go through, like, the entire theme park to actually get to the Blockbuster, but then you realize that you can't actually rent anything from that particular Blockbuster, so it was just a big waste of money and time. But yeah, man, it was part of, like, culture. Blockbuster and all the other, I mean, there was other things too. In Canada, we also had something called Rogers Video.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. That was, do you remember that?
Can't believe I forgot about that.
Yeah, so it was basically just like Rogers, which is a large telecommunications company here in Canada,
equivalent to like their AT&T,
right,
in the USA,
right? Probably the biggest. I mean, Bell and Rogers are probably both the biggest. I don't know which one's bigger, but essentially, Rogers tried to do their own version and created Rogers Video, where essentially it was just a Blockbuster ripoff, and it was just kind of okay. Like it didn't work out at all. So I don't know, but yeah, good times, man.
Nice thing about Rogers Video is you would go there to get a movie and a cell phone.
Oh yeah, that's right.
At the time, we were buying, depending on your plan, you were buying time, you're buying minutes for your phones too, right? So you would go there relatively frequently, once a month or something like that, anyways, and then you would also just pick up a movie or a game or something at the same time.
But yeah, that is pretty much it. What is this? Oh yeah, okay, that's just the link for the
you told me to put it there somewhere,
the thing. But yeah, so I think after this might be a pretty short video, unless anybody else has anything else they would like to add. Does anybody have any cool future plans? You got any plans coming up, Ethan?
Nothing. No, nothing really.
No.
Not much going on. No, just going day by day right now. Just doing whatever.
Yeah. So.
How are things on YouTube? Everything's going well.
Good. We're almost at 100K.
Yeah, you're
99.4, I think. Yeah.
Wow. Ooh.
So
we got to remind everybody watching. You gonna put a link? Everybody watching has to go and subscribe to Ethan Minnie on YouTube.
Yeah, I tagged him in the description, and I'm also about to bring up the channel, so that way you guys can see 99.3K.
Wow.
So there you are. Everybody go and subscribe. Here, even the Brave podcast will just subscribe for you. We're going to turn those notifications on just like that. So, but yeah, apart from that, I think we're going to do like, I don't know, we're going to do an after hours episode for Rumble, or do you want to do it like now? You guys feel like getting a little political? Talking about Canadian politics a little bit? What do you feel? Like, I mean, we can take it a little light and then to go into the heavier stuff afterwards in an after hours special, but feel like touching on it or what?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically...
Oh, here's this one. Reminder from Forgotten Productions. Jumbo Video. With the free popcorn.
But did Blockbuster not have free popcorn?
I don't remember. I only remember one store, which was in Brampton. Do you remember that? And it's by, where that Toys R Us is? Toys R Us and the Outback. You know where that is? Yeah. And Jumbo Video was there.
Oh, Jumbo Video.
Jumbo.
Okay.
And yeah, you would walk in and grab a little bag of popcorn.
There was a lot of stuff in that. That plaza has evolved over the years. There used to be a strip club, right?
What?
Wasn't there a strip club there? Sword and Shield at one point? Or what was that?
Sword and Shield.
Wasn't it there?
Down the road.
Oh.
Is that a strip club? Is that what that was?
Yeah, you didn't know that? Was it Sword and Shield? It might have been something else, but it was like, apparently it was really grungy.
Good Lord.
Yeah. I hate strip clubs. Strip clubs, like, for me, I don't see the point. I just don't, it doesn't do anything for me. It's just like, why? What
the hell were we talking about? I just want to go back over the poll again.
Blockbuster Jumbo Video.
69% for white and gold dress. Just putting that out there.
Oh crap! That's hilarious, though. But so
look at this. We got people watching from Portugal, from Denmark, Australia. Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Definitely, very much appreciated. But yes, so basically here in Canada, we got some interesting stuff going on. So lately there's been quite the culture war, I would call it. And the reason why I call it that is because there is a lot of ideology that is trying to be essentially forced on people in this country. And a lot of it, I don't appreciate it being forced, especially on children, and that's the largest problem lately. Justin Trudeau, and like I said, we're going to go into more detail. We're going to probably look at the videos in the after hours. I just kind of want to touch on it right now. But Trudeau, our beloved Prime Minister of Canada, says that Muslims are being influenced by far-right American ideology and politics. Would you agree, as a Muslim yourself, do you think that you are being influenced by not only the right of American policy or American ideology and politics in general, but the far right? So you're essentially being told that you're being influenced by white supremacists and Nazis. How do you feel about that?
I feel like that's kind of silly, to be honest.
Right? Like it doesn't make any sense.
One thing that's like super, and if you don't know much about Islam, you wouldn't know this, but one thing that's very, very common among all, following, practicing Muslims is that we don't get our influence from anything except for the holy book, the Quran, which was made however many years ago, 700-800 years ago or whatever it is. And I'm not being influenced by anybody on TV telling me how to live or how to raise my children or anything like that. No, it's we have one shining star which teaches us, and that was written hundreds of years ago. So I don't know. I don't think I'm being influenced by, what was it, neo-Nazis and
essentially,
and that kind of stuff?
He called it, and this was literally from his own mouth. He's telling Muslim people how their belief system works. So apparently he knows more about Islam than you do.
Yeah,
right.
Apparently. What
he's not understanding is that, like you said, the belief system is hundreds and hundreds of years old. Yeah. Right. It's been around forever. You guys have a very specific set of morals and belief system, and clearly he's trying to tell people that two minorities should be working together to do what exactly, right? Like,
what is the goal that he wants these minorities to?
I don't know. I guess to go against everybody else in the country, right? And it's kind of funny because I remember there's been so many incidences where, because he always pretends like he's, trying to unite the country. And this is what really bothers me, because I remember when the whole vaccines rollout came out a couple years ago, and he was literally on a stage yelling at people who were unvaccinated and I'll tell you guys, I was stupid enough to take the first two. Not that I regret it, but I just don't care for it anymore at this point. I've never taken a booster since the first two. But after hearing this man yell at people who decided to take their medical, take control of their own medical situation on their own without his advice, and the audacity of this loser to stand there on a stage and yell at people, if you think that you're gonna get on a plane or a bus or whatever as an unvaccinated person, you've got another thing coming. And it's like, dude, who do you think you are? Like, who the hell do you think you are to tell Canadians, first of all, exactly how they should think? And it's the same thing over and over with this guy. He never inspires people to critically think for themselves. He's always telling you what to think and how to go about it. And it's stupid, right? And it's like, ever since then, which was a clear message of trying to divide the country. It was a threat. It was a literal threat to people who wanted to take control of their own medical situation, and it was absolutely ridiculous. And I just cannot stand this guy. After that, I think that he shot himself in both kneecaps and both feet when he decided to enact the Emergencies Act here in Canada, which is essentially an act of war. Like, that was originally considered the War Measures Act, where you take control of the country by force when you are at war. I'm sorry, but a bunch of people in Ottawa honking horns and jumping on bouncy castles with children are not a threat to the democracy of Canada, and they are not a threat to the government of Canada. Not once did they plan on trying to overthrow the government like they claimed they were doing. They were trying to have a conversation with the government of Canada, and Trudeau refused to listen. And then he was making up excuses. I have COVID. Right? Do you remember that?
When he was hiding in the house, right?
Yeah, he was hiding in the government's house, and he decided that I'm not gonna talk to these people. I don't like them, right? But then when there's this whole situation, now all of a sudden he's pretending to understand how Muslim people think. Again, you're not allowed to have your own brain, right? You can't think for yourself, so you have to think exactly how I tell you to think.
Sure.
Right? Yeah, of course.
I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to listen to the far right, as he says, instead of the word of God sent down hundreds of years ago. Yeah,
right.
Okay.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. It's stupid and ridiculous, right? And he keeps doing the same thing over and over again. But at this point in time, we're all just literally sitting here waiting for an election to happen. I don't really know I don't think it's going to really make much of a difference, because we're starting to see the true side of Pierre Poilievre, who is the opposition leader here, who is considered the conservative. But in my opinion, he's starting to show himself a little bit more conservative than the previous conservative leader, who was, in my opinion, very liberal light. But
previous one being what, Harper?
Aaron O'Toole. So he was the leader of the Conservatives when they had the last election, and he, did a very terrible job at trying to win the election at the time. But yeah, and the way Poilievre is kind of proving himself is something that we're going to go into a little bit more detail. I don't want to do it on here, but everyone in Canada, well, not everybody, but a lot of people in Canada, especially on like Twitter, are very offended by this green t-shirt. I don't know. Did you see this green t-shirt, Ethan?
No, I haven't.
No?
Is it the one I sent you? The straight pride one?
Yeah, it had some really, it was a stupid phrase to begin with, but it really wasn't that offensive. It was in poor taste, but it really wasn't like super highly offensive. But I don't want to go into it on here. But yeah, this is pretty much the state of our country at the moment, and there's all sorts of craziness going on. There's a massive culture war, and you guys are invited to, we'll probably have up in a day or two, but we're going to film a after hours special where we are able to go into more detail about it on rumble.com. If you guys are interested, you can go and watch that later on. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for tonight's episode. It's going to be a little bit of a early one, but we've been on here for an hour and a half. So
let's go over just some of the last few chats. Let's go.
Yeah.
So after we said, oh, look at this. Hey, Itzel Deanda, thank you very much for the $5 donation.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. After that, we saw North Carolina in the house. Nebraska was Catherine.
Nice.
PA, Pennsylvania. That must be that, right? I don't know. I'm not good with the US.
Yeah, PA.
And then I saw Latvia. That's super cool. Hey, Peter. New Zealand, Louise. And Harry's from California. Someone says stupid Trudeau. I love that. Lynn Roberts corrected. Oh my God. What did I say? Lynn Roberts corrects me. Mo, the Quran was composed in the early 7th century. I said like 800 years ago. Yeah, it's like 1400 years ago is what I meant, because the religion is like 1470 years old.
It was a very, very long time ago.
Stupid. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for chatting, for following. Hey, and check us out on Rumble if you really want to.
And definitely, like I mentioned before, definitely go and watch The Sound of Freedom again, because that movie stood out for me, and I feel like it's going to be the most influential piece of our time. I don't think there's going to be anything else for a very long time that will have the motivational impact that movie had on people, especially for that specific situation. And I feel like to me, especially as a relatively religious, I do consider myself relatively religious that type of person, it kind of spoke to me because there was something that was very powerful. If you remember from the movie, when there was a line in there that said, God's children are not for sale.
Ooh.
Do you remember that?
Goosebumps,
And I was just
man.
like, bro, like that was a crazy line. Even if you're non-religious, like, do you consider yourself religious, Ethan?
Not really.
No, like more agnostic, like you believe in something, some sort of greater power, but you're just not, you don't really confine yourself to a certain.
I think there's
belief system.
something
Mhm.
for sure, you know. But yeah.
So would you say like a line like that would resonate with you, even having some sort of belief system in a greater power?
Yeah, I mean. Yeah.
It's I don't know. To me, that line just like stood out to me, and I felt like
for sure.
watching that movie, my soul shattered into 40 bajillion pieces, right? So, but yeah, I've been kind of like paying attention to that stuff for several years now, and just learning more and more about the devious things that people do out there are they're scary, man.
And very real.
Very, very real. So if you got children out there, or at home with you, go and hug them and hold them very tight, because I know I would if I had children. I think the only one here is Mo, who has a child. How did you like? What was going through your mind knowing that you have almost a 1-year-old at home after, while you were watching that?
I even asked my wife the second we got out of there. I was like, "How many times did you think about the baby during that movie?" And it was every face that we saw in that movie, every kid's face was just, I was just superimposing my babies on it. It was just the idea, just like you empathize so hard, and it hurts, man. It's sickening. It's disgusting. The idea that somebody can do these things, and not somebody, but like millions of people, millions of times a year. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at the statistics earlier, and it's just like, I think it said something about 50,000 a year just in the United States are trafficked across the southern border, majority through El Paso, which I've been through that area a couple of times. Like, I've driven through there, and you can see the.
Why is it so easy?
Because there's gaps in the wall that were never completed. So when Donald Trump was president, they were working on the wall, and then when Joe Biden became the president, he decided he was going to stop finishing the wall, even though it was almost completed. So there's a gap. So right where El Paso is, which is it's like the desert area of Texas, and it's directly on the border of El Paso, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it correctly, but Ciudad Juarez is the other city. So as you're driving down I believe it's the I-10, so as you're driving down the Interstate 10 highway through El Paso into Las Cruces, New Mexico, which El Paso and Las Cruces are literally right next to each other. You almost wouldn't even realize that you've transitioned from one city to another, one state to another, actually. But as you're driving through El Paso, which has some of the best freaking barbecue I've ever had in my life, so shout out to El Paso, Texas, on that front. As you're driving through, you can literally see, there's like a fence line, and you can literally see Mexico from that side. Okay. Like, it's wild, because they're virtually right next to each other. Had there not been the border, it would have been indistinguishable. It looks a little bit more rough on the Mexico side, but still you can tell it's like a pretty decent size city and whatnot. But as you're driving through through El Paso, you can see the giant structure of the border wall, and it's impressive. I'm not gonna lie, that thing, whether you agree with the wall or don't agree, whatever, it is very, very impressive. What happened was, right on the Rio Grande, which is the river that runs through that area, there is a section, I believe, where the water is low enough, and that's where a lot of people on foot actually cross. So they all come up from South America, some places as far as like Nicaragua and all these crazy areas. They're walking far. You got to give it to these people, these migrants that are making their way towards the southern border of the United States. These people got some balls, man, to walk literally 3,000 to 4,000 miles to try and get to the border is amazing, and I'll give them the credit on that one. However, you are literally risking your life. You're risking your child's life if you were coming with children. But the scary part is that there's a lot of people, and they're known as coyotes, and they're traffickers. They traffic literal human beings up into the United States of America. And how they're doing it is they go through the Rio Grande, and there's essentially gaps in the wall, and apparently it's like right where the highway is, so a lot of people essentially pass underneath a bridge, and you can
On foot or in a vehicle?
on foot.
Okay.
Yeah, people are crossing literally on foot. If you want to see a lot of coverage of it, there is a journalist, I believe his name is Jorge Ventura on Twitter, and he does a lot of on the ground reporting. He films a lot of the people coming through, so you can see exactly what's going on. There are literally hundreds of thousands of people every year that are undocumented people who are coming through, and a lot of them are being trafficked for specifically that purpose. When Biden came into office, he re-implemented catch and release, which essentially means that they pick people up when they illegally cross the border, and they catch them, give them a court date, tell them to come back, and then they release them into the United States. So they're basically like, yeah, we'll see you February 21st of next year. See you later. And obviously those people are never coming back.
Yeah.
They're never going to show up to their court date.
No
It's
chance.
just is what it is, right? So they're illegally going out there. And a lot of the times, originally the way coyotes used to operate, and these are like bad dudes, like these are cartel members, like they're essentially being paid to traffic people from one country to another illegally. And a lot of what's happening is that when they traffic them into the United States, a lot of times they're being handed off from one coyote to another, right? So they're essentially being sold into slavery into the United States, and that's exactly what's happening, right? And that's why I'm kind of like, I feel like this movie was so important to really talk about that. And then, you know, they have their organization as well, which again, if you guys are just joining us, they're what was the name of the organization again? Ourrescue.org.
Yeah, exactly. Ourrescue.org.
Yeah, so ourrescue.org.
It's called the Operation Underground Railroad. Yeah.
So very impressive organization that they have over there, and I think they're going to do a lot of really good things, and I think the movie really will really help open people's eyes to exactly what's happening out there in such a relatable way, to understand that it's happening so often and so close to home. Like things like that are happening in Canada too. Like there's been years ago, there was stories I remember hearing about women going missing in Edmonton or something like that, right? So it's happening here too in Canada. It's not like it's not happening, just people are kind of oblivious because they're so caught up, and I get it, everybody's so caught up with their own lives, and that's why I feel like a movie like content like this is so important. That's kind of why I really wanted to talk about it too. But I guess that's pretty much it. Anybody else got anything to add or contribute? Is there any more chats that you wanted to respond to?
Or Fam75 told us about her mother who passed away tragically. Rest in peace.
My condolences.
Catherine says Biden sucks bad.
Accurate.
That's I think that's about it. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Oh, also Bobby says, "Hi, Angelo. You still look hot."
I used to.
You still look hot.
I still look.
Let me. Can I pin that? I can't pin. You gotta pin that one.
My God, that's so funny. All right, guys. So that is pretty much it for tonight's episode. It was a mixture of emotions, interesting stuff, some fun stuff. Kind of went a little bit back and forth. And thank you so much to Ethan for deciding to join us tonight.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Definitely go and check out his channel. And huge shout out to his amazing T-shirt that he has on tonight, American Psycho. That's so cool. But yeah, he's almost at 100,000. So if a few of you guys can help him out, if you're not subscribed to him yet, definitely go and do it. And let's get him to that 100,000 so he can get that really cool plaque over there. And yeah, that is pretty much it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us on this fabulous evening, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Check us out on Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. We love you. Bye.
Bye.